very much for clarification when we come to the question and answer session. Now I will request one of our overseas experts who have been helping here in a program in Bangladesh called TVET Reform Project in Bangladesh. He's a Chief Technical Advisor in the project, Arthur Earl Shears. I will request him to have a little of his mind on what we have been discussing until now. Mr. Shears.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor, and greetings to head table guests and special guests. I want to approach this in a couple of ways. I thought the presentations were marvelous. The first one was very focused and very detailed on the technology end. The second one was looking at some of the underlying economic principles. I want to approach this in two ways. One is I want to refer to a document which was published recently by the World Bank. It's referring to the global opportunity in IT-based services. So it's very relevant in terms of what we're talking about today. And basically, having a quick scan of some of the major points, it's giving a global perspective and a comparative perspective on how to move industry forward, both IT industry, like software development, and then ITES, IT Enhanced Services market. When I was looking at some of the diagrams in here, it was quite interesting. You would expect, for example, in IT, global distribution of offshore IT services and ITES markets. So for IT services, of course, we know India's for offshore is very high. It's in this document 54%. I'm from Canada. I've been working in Bangladesh for about 2 years, and I was actually surprised to see number 2, global distribution of offshore IT services and ITES IT services is Canada at 29%. And then for the ITES market, India drops to 37% of the offshore market. Canada drops a little bit to 27%. And a country like the Philippines comes up to 15%. I think in part because of the language issue. I happen to be from the part of Canada where some of these ITES services are going. I'm from Atlantic Canada. We used to have lots of coal mines. We used to have lots of steel plants and mills. That has died off. So we had lots of semi-skilled people who were hungry for work. And the government, through its promotion and its policies, directed investment in IT services to Atlantic Canada. And as a result, my hometown, which used to be a mining town, now hosts a very large telecenter for responding to telephone requests for computer information and so on and so forth. So that's just one example from Canada. But I wanted, being from the ILO, International Labour Organization, I just wanted to point out that we're interested in not only workers' rights, but we're tripartite. We involve industry, business, workers, and government. And I want to read you the conclusion here. That it says, in referring to IT and IT enhanced services in this report, limitations to growth are mostly on the supply side, particularly in terms of employees with skill sets. We've been talking about education here. Skill sets that meet the requirements of the market. Now, this last point from the ILO is very important as well. Successful growth in these industries will have a positive impact on job creation, exports, economic growth, and social development. So those are all buzzwords. Social development, job creation, those are all buzzwords as far as the International Labour Organization goes. So I would commend this particular document. I think it's available on the internet for you to further read and get some additional ideas. Certainly the suggestions made already by the speakers were excellent, economic and also some very direct suggestions from Fahim. Now I would beg your indulgence for just a few minutes to talk about the middle ground. My colleague from BRAC talked about in-between, the importance of in-between. We saw a statistic about the number of science graduates going down. An interesting statistic, positive one, is that the percentage of technical and vocational education students has been going up. A few years ago, TVET, technical and vocational education and training students, made up only 2% of the education students. Now it's gone up through interventions, new polytechnics and new technical training centers and so on, new HSE VOC and SSE VOC programs. It's gone from 2% to 8%. So there's a trend in the other direction. The government is recognizing the importance of technical and vocational education, within which IT and IT support can fall. There is a demand for IT engineers, software engineers, and so on, but there's also demand for people who can fix computers, people who can operate computers, people who can do graphic design, people who can do web design. And it's that middle ground that our TVET reform project that I'm managing is working towards. And that middle ground runs from up to diploma level, up to polytechnic level. So let me just in 2 or 3 minutes touch on a couple of things that I think are quite innovative that are happening in Bangladesh. Now this is a government project that is running. It does have outside support, funding, but it's a government project. It's under the Directorate of Technical Education. Another partner is the Bureau for Manpower, Employment and Training, talking about exporting labor and so on. And also the Bangladesh Technical Education Board, which is responsible for accrediting technical education courses and accrediting training providers. Our program is called TVET Reform Project. So we've been working with the government to reform the system of vocational education and training to make it more industry responsive. And we have set up 4 industry skills councils which combine government and private sector. And we're encouraging the private sector to tell the training centers what kind of training they need, what kind of competencies do they need. And then we're encouraging the training providers to develop courses in that regard. The government, we hope, very soon, as early as next month, although this has been very much delayed, we recently had the education policy that has been approved. We expect the Prime Minister and the National Skills Development Council will be soon reviewing a national skills development policy. And this national skills development policy talks about competency-based training, talks about industry responsive training providers, talks about renewal of apprenticeships, much as Fahim was talking about IT graduates going into university. You can also have persons who learn IT skills at technical schools getting further skills in industry. It's talking about a new qualification framework. A new qualification framework, you'll be getting a national certificate in, say, web design, or a national certificate in graphic arts and other areas, which will have currency. And it will have currency because our project is working with the government to design, and we have designed and are finalizing a new vocational teacher training program, which enables the instructors to teach competencies and to assess competencies, not just knowledge, but knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And these new programs will be very much hands-on learning. We are helping the Bangladesh Technical Education Board establish a new quality assurance framework. This quality assurance framework will have a set of standards against which anybody that wants to be accredited by the Bangladesh Technical Education Board must meet these minimum set of standards. In addition to that, anybody that wants to teach these new national vocational qualification courses, they will have to be accredited as a national provider of that course. This is a system much like the system that they've introduced in the Philippines. And see how many technical people from the Philippines have been going abroad and getting work. Whereas Bangladesh has been sending so many on-skill workers abroad. Philippines have got that skills development system in their country, including a national qualification framework, and they're sending over people that are getting more money and per capita sending more money back. So these are just a couple of the innovations that are taking place. One more, and this is what I will close on, is we're helping the government set up a national skills database. Or I should say a national TVET database. This national TVET database will be housed, we hope, in the Bureau for Manpower, Employment and Training. It will be in the Secretariat of the National Skills Development Council. It will collect supply-side data, which is around. It'll collect supply-side data. But in addition, we'll be working with the different sectors, including IT, to generate demand-side data. What kinds of IT people do you need in software development? What kinds of IT people do you need at the technician level, or at the operator level? And so all those sets of demand data will be fed into this national TVET database, and that will tell the National Skills Development Council, right, we need 10,000 of those people, we need 5,000 of those people. We don't need those people anymore. You should think about closing those programs down and opening up these new programs. So very many exciting things. I guess going back to Fahim's comment about these foreigners coming in, I guess I'm one of those, and I can't apologize for being Canadian because I'm proud of being Canadian. But just to say that we're working extremely closely with government, with the private sector, and with their clients to look at the issues. And the government knows where the weaknesses are. They recognize them. The private sector knows where they are. The workers know where they are. And so we've been helping our partners try to identify some strategies, some of which I've described, to try to move forward. And there have been some delays, but as I say, we hope that the Prime Minister, Honourable Prime Minister, next month will be convening the National Skills Development Council for the first time in a couple of years. And if that is convened, we hope and expect that the National Skills Development Policy, with so many innovative approaches to technical and vocational education and skills development, will be approved. I look forward to that. With those closing remarks, thank you very much.